Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is John Redstratus. Welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. This is episode 292. Phil is back with me once again for another podcast-style episode. How are you doing there, Phil?
Hello. Yes, we're getting ever closer to 300, which will be the episode, like we said in the last episode where we did a podcast, So You're Being Hunted. Do still write in the comments if you want us to do an hour-long special.
Yes, absolutely, by all means.
With potential questions. So it could be a podcast / mini Q&A.
Indeed, it can,
definitely want to do that if you feel that's what you want us to do for the 300th episode. But we're still 8 episodes away from that at the moment.
Yeah, still a while off just yet. But it should be good when it comes around.
Yeah, definitely.
So, just something very quickly, Phil. You remember how in the last episode we were talking about mysteries and things like that?
Yes, we were. That was the topic that I brought up, mysteries and things like that. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mentioned one about an Australian Prime Minister who disappeared when he went swimming. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I remember. That was the second one I think we talked about. Yes.
So I actually went away and checked the story. So the Prime Minister in question was Harold Holt, and he disappeared in 1967.
Right.
Yeah. So apparently he was like at a beach somewhere, and he basically went out swimming out to sea, and that was the last anyone ever saw of him. So presumably he must have got into difficulties and basically drowned or something. But essentially, yes.
He ate too many bananas before he went out. That's the thing, isn't it? If you eat too many bananas, you shouldn't. Well, you shouldn't really eat before you go swimming because it makes you feel a bit full, doesn't it? People say you shouldn't eat before you go swimming because you may drown.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's just it will make you feel just incredibly full.
Indeed, yeah. So that was I was kind of curious because I knew of this story, but I just didn't know the details, so I went away and checked, and it's Harold Holt, 1967.
Harold Holt,
yeah.
1967.
But do you want to know what the funniest part of the story is here, Phil? And this actually kind of made me laugh when I first read it.
The majority of the story is not really that funny.
Oh, trust me, the story gets better, don't you worry. So the Australians basically decided to name a place after him as a kind of in memoriam of him as passing.
Oh, in memoriam, that's nice.
But,
yeah.
The kind of ironic thing is they named a swimming centre after him.
Oh, that's a bit dark.
Yes, it's that classic example of Australian humour. Something highly inappropriate, and yet they decide...
that is yes. That, on the scale of inappropriateness, that's towards the high end.
Indeed. G'day, mates. You know what'll be funny here, huh? Yes, and all that.
Doing the
flipping Australians.
We can't do it, can we? We can't do an Australian accent without good day at the start.
I know it's difficult.
It's crazy.
Oh, God. This guy's having a bit of trouble.
How you doing, mate?
He doesn't like the Australian accent.
Well, no, it's British. He's a British robot.
Yes, Australian.
They sometimes take the piss out of us, but we take the piss out of everyone else as well.
Yes, we do.
That's what you do as a British person, isn't it?
Britain is the country that likes to take the riff on everyone else, but doesn't like it when people take the riff on them.
No, we don't, do we?
Yes. We can dish it out, but we can't take it, ladies and gents.
Exactly, that's the thing. And you can't be like that in this day and age. Come on now. You've got to take the punishment.
You've got to, yes. In the age of internet pranks and all that.
Oh,
yes.
Classic internet pranks. Internet pranks.
Oh, man. Yeah. So that was just, like I say, just a topic I wanted to talk about very quickly, since it kind of followed on nicely from the last episode.
Yeah, yes. I don't know what made me think about that, but I just thought mysteries. Thought that'd be a good topic to discuss.
Yeah. So is there anything else going on at the moment, Phil, which is very interesting in your world?
What is going on there's a major thing going on in the world at the moment. That's the bloody coronavirus.
Indeed,
but
yes.
I think we've talked about that a few times.
Yes.
But apart from that, because no one wants to be hearing about that, it's all just dismal performances.
Although
I did hear on the radio Boris Johnson having a little bit of speech about it. He's a funny character.
God, yeah.
He really is, Boris Johnson. Yeah,
Right,
he's really. But yes, we're all working from home now, and you're obviously might be doing some remote working.
Yes, that's the thing. Where I work is now they're basically transitioning over to remote working now, which is kind of crazy. But wow, never expected it really, to be honest. But it's just taking the world by storm. Yeah.
Panic buying, which we talked about last episode, we did talk about the panic buying.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's just getting annoying. The world's not ending.
Absolutely,
come on now, it's not ending. And if it was ending, there's no point getting your tinned food.
No.
Because you wouldn't be able to use it.
No, you wouldn't at all, yes.
The world's not going to end. I mean, the Mayans tried to predict it, and they got it wrong. They said it was going in 2012. Oh, look, it's 2020 and we're still here.
Still here indeed, yes. Flipping Mayans. Can't ever get anything right, can they?
Bloody Mayans. Oh, well, they certainly did nasty sacrifices.
Oh, God, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Indeed. Who's this guy over here?
The funny thing was, the last episode of Sir that we did, I wanted to do it, but this time it was actually picked by the wheel.
Yes. Absolutely. So, interesting how that comes about, eh?
But it's always good to do these little podcasty style episodes because we can talk about any and all topics, really, can't we?
Yeah.
Just bring it together and see what we see where it going. Now, I've just thought of something actually.
Yeah.
Way back when, obviously, when you're doing your undergraduate.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because we're going to come off the topic of coronavirus because no one wants to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
We talked about it enough in the last episode,
Yeah,
and it's
did.
a depressing topic. Yes, obviously, now you obviously had your job in Booth's Cafe.
Oh, yes.
Where you did your
that.
thing. Now, before that, did you have any other job? Or was the Booth's Cafe your first sort of ever job?
Booth's Cafe was technically my first proper sort of formal kind of
Formal
employment.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done sort of like various little sort of unofficial kind of jobs if I ever wanted to get a bit of money, like washing someone's car or something like that. But not.
Oh, did you
like
actually do
proper...
things like that?
Yeah, from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was the first ever job I did, which wasn't really official, but it still counts as a job, as a paper boy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You remember that? Yeah,
Yeah.
you've come round on a few occasions.
Yeah.
But I used to.
Years and years
I
ago.
think.
Yeah.
I think when you were little like that, most people were paper people.
Yeah, I think it's a common one for probably a lot of lads. I would imagine paperboy, paper rounds, that kind of thing.
Yeah, going around to people's houses, shoving the newspapers through the letterboxes,
Yes.
making sure they got it. Usually I'd do it on my bike. I'd have a bike, but when you came, I think we just walked it.
Hey, I remember back in old days, says Phil. I
Back
remember
in old days,
you get on your bike and you go do your paper round, and like Freddo's cost 10p and all that.
Oh God, Freddo's, yeah.
I don't know what
I haven't
they
had a
cost
Freddo
now.
in ages.
I know.
I think it's something like 35p.
Oh God, scandalous.
Scandalous.
Jesus.
But yes, the paper round
Scandalous.
was my sort of first one. Did I have anything before that? No. I think I also sort of had a little job with because my mum works for the council. I did a little few things where to go and put the votes through people's doors, things like that. So we did a bit of that as well. But then after that, I actually went in to have a proper job.
I remember in those old days,
web
as
development.
I did my civic duties, delivering those postal leaflets door to door, living in the pouring rain. There we
I
are.
mean, you're 28, you're not 70.
Yes.
But the day when you become 70, you can do that.
I can do that. I can talk like that, indeed. Yes.
You can talk like that.
Oh man.
Unless proceedings happen on October the 23rd, 2077, that's what we don't want.
Yes.
Many people will get that reference.
Now,
well,
that's the day we want to avoid, Phil.
October the 23rd, 2077.
Yes. Fallout
The day-
reference.
Day the world falls to nuclear fallout. Yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
I remember back in the day, I did my paper round back in the time when the nuclear bombs were falling. It didn't stop me at all.
One of the worst things, devastation. That's what nuclear bombs cause.
I had to go trudging through the fallout.
All right, enough with this fucking thing. Oh God, you're annoying me now.
This is you at the age 70.
No, we'll be sitting in like old people's homes at age 70 with going. I remember the days when we used to have those 4K TVs. What's it now on 15K? Oh goodness me! Isn't KK also the term for running? Isn't it? Like if you do a 15K race,
that's right. Yeah.
But I remember going back to the jobs thing.
Go ahead.
When you were working at Boots, obviously you had that story in one of your certain episodes where you had a rude customer.
Oh, yeah.
That very rude customer is just saying, "I don't care what you think" and all that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Did I have any rude people? No, I don't think I did have any rude people when I was being a paper person.
Yeah.
Have you noticed I said paper person?
Oh,
not
yes. You're being
Yes.
politically correct, are you? Yes.
But yes, you had a good time though, didn't you? There,
Indeed,
you made
yes.
a lot of friends, and then you saw. I remember that time that we went to another branch of the booths.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw one of your
My old
colleagues.
manager, yes.
Yeah,
now
who
working in a
had
different
moved
one.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny. So sometimes you do get moved around.
I kind of wonder actually sometimes what happened to her because she had to move away across the country
Oh, right.
after a while because I think one of her relatives was ill with something. It's kind of sad, but yeah, I don't know. I assume she's still living wherever she is now, looking after
Moved
a
away. Yeah,
relative. Yeah.
probably. Yeah, probably.
Yes, indeed.
Uh,
Oh man,
but
dear
yeah,
oh
it's
me.
nice. It's good to get a bit of extra cash, just so you can do your time. Because
Splurge
you did it
out.
during your undergraduate stages, did you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to help sort of cover a bit of the cost during university and all that.
Yeah, because you had to do that, and
That's the thing, freaking student loans being pretty high and all that.
well, you didn't have to pay any
Uh,
maintenance fees because you
I
got
didn't
to
know because
you
I
lived
was
from
yeah,
home.
I went into university. Well, rather I went to a university in my roughly local area, which wasn't too bad. It just kept the cost down. Yeah,
I didn't, however. My
no,
when I went to university, I had to. I went out the way, so I had to get accommodation, which means I had
yes,
to get out a maintenance loan. So yes, I'm still obviously owing lots of money.
aye, yes.
Student loans. That's what it's all about, isn't
The
it?
student loans
Bloody
company,
student loans.
indeed.
Oh God.
Yes,
Well, at least I got there in before the year when it went up.
yeah, same.
Uh,
Indeed. So it did cost obviously us something, but just not as much as it costs now. I
oh,
mean,
I know.
freaking £9,000 a year. It's just fucking crazy. And that's
Absolutely
that's if
astounding
you're
amounts of
just a
money.
domestic UK student. If you're an international, it's even higher.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
ridiculous. Like if you're an international, I think it can be like 12,000 a year, something like that.
I think. Well, yeah. I think in the first year I was in student house,
Yes.
and then second and third year I was in halls of residence.
Yeah.
One because I went to live in Germany for 4 months
Oh yeah, you did.
as
Yeah.
part of my course. Yeah, that was I loved that. That was very interesting. I went right in the summer where it was boiling, absolutely boiling, and
Imagine
you
it's
get
good
that
weather.
that
Yeah.
humid, sticky air.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we've got to do that. We've got to carry on planning our holiday, although we've got to put it on hold for now
I
because we
know.
won't be allowed. We won't be allowed to go anywhere.
No. Yes, it's really put a
Uh,
spanner in the works, that has, but
it really
what
has.
can you
Yeah.
do? Yes.
Uh,
Indeed. Trying to think, sorry, my mind's just on kind
oh
of
yeah.
universities and tuition fees and things like that at the moment, since we've gone and mentioned them. I must
Yeah.
say, as an academic, high tuition fees is really kind of, I don't know, it's a very kind of controversial subject, not just because of the whole debt thing, but also because for us as kind of university staff, the whole thing about, because students are now paying so much money, it's like we have to sort of treat them almost now as customers, and we have to sort of provide value for money and all this. Which,
Uh,
granted, you always want to obviously provide a good educational experience,
what's
but
going on here?
I know.
I think I'm experiencing deja vu.
Have I talked about this before? I think I
This,
have, haven't
yeah,
I?
that bit especially in one of your, I think it might have been the one where you talked about university tips,
Yeah,
where you were talking about do universities now having to treat people like customers?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things, It's like
but
because
yeah,
it's like because they paid all that money. It's like this pressure now. You have to make sure they perform well. But of course, it's obviously difficult because here's the thing, Intel.
extortionate amounts of money.
Yeah, it's extortionate amounts
Yeah,
of money, and if they turn in pieces of work which are really bad, it's like, well, I know you've paid all that money, but I can't give you a higher grade. I'm sorry.
yeah, you need to,
Yeah.
as you said in that same video, if you want to see it, it's the university tips one. But as you said in that same video, you have to treat the library as your second home.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes,
You should
that's
become
what I
familiar
did.
with the ins and outs of it.
Oh yes, because all the necessary study materials are there,
Yeah.
and you've got your books and your things, and you've got to read up on things, and there's
Yeah.
lots of people. I think it's most of the libraries and universities have quiet areas.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't want to be disturbed by anyone, just move into the quiet area, put your headphones in,
Indeed.
get some music
Yes.
on, and plow away.
Plow away at that essay, that reading, whatever it is you're
Yeah,
doing. Yes.
they always say like the first year is sort of like a DOS year,
Yeah.
but then as you progress to the second and third, you've really got to buck your ideas up.
Indeed. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is the truth. Yeah. That's the thing. I remember. Not at the current institution I'm teaching at, but the one before that, we often, were trying to drill into students that just because the first year's easy doesn't mean the second and third years will be. The second and
Well,
third
oh,
years it
absolutely
gets
not.
it hots up.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
The majority of university is 3 years, but I know if you do things like a medical degree, if you
Yeah.
want to become a doctor, I think you have an extra year. There's some with
Like
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Indeed.
So things like that.
Yeah.
But it's a fun time as university as well. Apart from obviously doing
definitely.
work, obviously there's social clubs and extracurricular activities you can go and do,
Yeah.
and the students' union where you can party and
I mean, again,
make friends.
Yeah, I probably said this in that university tips video, but if you're at university, don't just rely on the lectures and the seminars to get your value for money. Really take advantage of what's on offer there.
What you said.
And
Yeah.
that's how you'll get your value for money. Because universities offer so much opportunity for learning and social activities outside of just seminars and things like that. So you could get involved with clubs, you could get involved not just with them but also in their management, things like that, to gain sort of skills and experience.
It is also a scary experience, isn't it, when you first go to university? Because for some people it might be their first time being away from their parents.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience because you've moved in. I remember the first time when I moved into my accommodation. My parents stayed with me a few days and then they drove all the way back home. And that first day when they left, I was like, oh, God.
Wow, it hits you, doesn't it?
Yeah, because that was the first time I was probably on my own because I'd been living with my parents. Yeah. And I must admit, the first few weeks to a month, I was very homesick.
Yes.
I was trying to do things like enjoy myself, like play some video games and things like that. But I just had to stop and just like, I'm not feeling. And then I was counting down the days until go home for a weekend or something.
Indeed. The thing is, it's one of those kind of periods, I think, in a lot of people's lives when they're, about 18, 19, that age, and they're, going off to university, if obviously they choose to go down that route. And of course, they're going to be like away from family for the first time and having to kind of live very independently. And I think, for some young people, that can be quite a sort of shocking transition moment in their life. And it's like
daunting as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things which, in my current job where I work out, some of the professional development workshops that I've been to, deal with things like student mental health, things like that. And, because mental health among students, especially when you've kind of moved out for the first time and, you're adjusting to that sudden change in lifestyle where you're actually having to really look out for yourself. That can obviously
because you've got to do things like cleaning, your own cooking, because obviously you're away doing those sort of things.
Indeed.
You've really got to be careful.
Yeah, it can be terrifying and all that, but especially when you start and you don't know really what you're doing, you just have to sort of kind of learn on the fly. But you get through it. And
well, I got used to the end. I mean, I went to live in Germany for 4 months.
True, yeah.
So I was in a separate country.
Yeah, so you did all right. Yeah.
Helping boosting my my language skills, and like they say, there's no better way to learn a language than to be in the country itself.
Absolutely, yes.
If you want to learn it, textbooks and teachers and lecturers can only give you so much. Better to go into the country itself and learn there, because every day you're dealing with things. Like all the time I was in the shops and buying things and things like that.
Yeah, interacting with people.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know that apparently as you get older and things like that, learning additional languages is a really good way to just keep your brain sort of mentally fit. And when I say learning languages, you don't even have to, kind of learn grammar or anything like that. It can just come down to maybe learning a few words from another language per day until eventually you just have a whole vocabulary of words. Very good brain training, especially if
it is. Well, what I do to keep my German going up, because I obviously don't use it very much, is I watch like video games in German with with the German YouTuber.
Yes, that's a good idea.
German and constantly keep updating the knowledge.
Indeed, yes.
Make sure that my German language skills don't become obsolete.
Yeah,
because I certainly don't want that.
I need to. I always fancy, learning another language at some point. I need to just sit down and maybe start on one at some point. Because obviously, when I was younger, I learnt a bit of Russian, but I must say my Russian language skills have atrophied over the years. I can still remember some letters of the alphabet, but I think a lot of it has kind of gone out of my head because I just, like you say, I've just had no reason to kind of practice it.
Do they use Cyrillic? Yeah, Cyrillic, isn't it, the Russian alphabet? Yeah.
So it's quite a hard language to learn.
It is, yeah.
Indeed.
But, the Russians and vodka.
Vodka. Yes. Apparently,
which means vodka's Russian for, what is it? It's something for like little water.
Is that what it is?
It's something. It's Russian for a little. It's made out of potatoes, isn't it?
Vodka? It is.
Yeah.
But Apparently Finnish is like one of the hardest languages in the world to learn, besides English, of course. But yeah, so yes,
Is it Finnish? I heard it. I thought I heard it was Icelandic.
it could be Icelandic as well, maybe.
Yeah, Icelandic don't like you speaking their language. If they're English, they find it better for you to be speaking English if you don't know their language because they really don't like it being butchered.
They're like a club of sort of anime elitists. They don't want their thing to go mainstream.
I suppose so.
I went straight for the frigging anime analogy because I couldn't think of anything else.
You did, didn't you?
Yes.
I don't think there's been an episode where you don't mentioned anime.
Animu, Phil. Animu. Yes.
Animu.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yes, indeed. I think we've been recording for a good watch of time there. What do you reckon? Shall we wrap up here then?
Yeah, I think we certainly have.
Yes.
We've had a nice little discussion about all sorts of different topics.
Indeed, we
there.
have. Yeah.
Hopefully everyone's enjoyed it.
Quite
And
a
yes, do
wild
keep
one, yeah.
comments in for the 300th episode. Would you like us to do an hour-long So You're Being Hunted podcast episode with potential questions? If yes, then say yes and then ask a little question so we can do a little mini Q&A as well.
Can do, can't we? Yeah. So, hope you enjoyed, everyone. We started out talking about Harold Holt and ended it on Animu for some reason. Just briefly mentioned at the very end, because of course, it has to get slipped in there somewhere.
Just somewhere, doesn't it?
Yes.
Obviously. Some people.
Some people indeed, yes. Okay, well, if you're not doing so already, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and of course, there is a propagandist channel linked below. Speaking of Animu and all that, if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, maybe share my videos with your friends on social media and all that jazz. But in the meantime, we're signing off. So, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Phil, and we'll say goodbye.
No worries. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. What? Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, narrative contradiction. It was such a danger. Isn't it? Go this way, then? Oh, I see you fenced up the lift. To try and stop me from doing this, perhaps? No. You nearly had me. Bastard.